Hi friends! We are going to work through some shoulder openers today, and this is going to be in combination with some vinyasa flow. That's my plan. So you might get pretty warm. Just know that if you have shoulder sensitivities, please pay attention to them. If I recommend doing something and it doesn't quite feel right or it feels unsafe in your joint for whatever reason, know that you always have the ability to say no to anything that I suggest. Remember, everything that I say today or in any of my classes are invitations. They're not obligations. So just do what you can with what you have. I would recommend today, I don't know if we're going to need blocks, but for sure I have something intended for a strap. If you have blocks, they might be handy. I have one pose or two poses in particular that maybe you would want one for. But definitely at least a strap so that we can get some shoulder opening action in right at the beginning of class. So if you don't have a strap, something like a belt or a robe tie or even just holding a sweatshirt between the two arms will make the pose more accessible for you and will really give us the opportunity to work through our shoulder joints. So all that out of the way, let's get started. I'm sitting up on my two blocks like how I like to begin my classes, and I might actually sit with my feet on the floor. Again, I did that recently and really enjoyed how that felt in my hip joints here. So whatever suits you suits me just fine. Pick a pose for your beginning meditation which is comfortable, it's not distracting, and it allows you to focus on your breath. So whether that's sitting up, laying down, something in between, find what works for you. So once we're here in our seated pose, we're going to take a few minutes to tune into the body. So notice how your pelvis is situated. Notice where your body is in contact with the floor. Feel the weight of your body dropping down into your mat. And then we'll bring our attention to our shoulders. So notice how they're sitting on the body today. So on the back of your torso. Sometimes our shoulders have a tendency to sit a little high. If we've had a little bit of an anxious day, a little bit of stress, or if you've been in a cold environment for a while, like we have here in Wisconsin. See if you can allow them to relax a little bit more. So if you're sitting, feel your shoulder blades release and slide down your back just a little bit. If you're laying down, we're feeling our shoulder blades dropping open and the shoulders, the backs of the heads of the humerus, the upper arm bone, dropping into the floor. Focusing on our breath. Noticing how the shoulders move with each inhale. Maybe they rise up a little bit. Each exhale, and they relax back down. Notice if you're holding tension anywhere, particularly in your jaw, the tongue. Notice if your shoulders have crept up. And if any of that is happening, just relax it down. One more inhale here. One more exhale. And then when you're ready, you can feel the breath begin to deepen. Slowly open your eyes if you're laying down, working our way up to seated. All right. So we'll start with just rolling through the shoulders. So really trying to find all of the corners of our shoulder girdle. So feeling the shoulders pressing together behind us, feeling them reach forward. If you have any crunchy spots, take your time. You might want to work back and forth through those. If you haven't already, you can switch directions. All right. So from here, before we even get started, we're gonna really take our strap. Before we really get started, I'm feeling like I'm a little incoherent today, but doing my best. So we're gonna take our strap. You can also do this if you have, ironically, if you have a broom handle, so like a big long dowel, that would work for you as well if you want to use that. So I've seen that done. We're going to take our hands about shoulder width apart. Now, what's really important with this exercise is that we keep our pelvis neutral. So there's a tendency for me to want to dump my belly forwards. And so what's important is to keep my tailbone dropping down towards the earth. So your preference might be a little different in the way that you have a little off-kilterness in your pelvis, but try to keep it nice and neutral between front and back. And the hands about arms width or shoulders width apart, okay? So from here, what we're going to do is inhale, lift the arms up, and just bring them up above our head and as far back behind us as they will come. So it's not going to be very far to start. And while we're here, think about your low ribs. So pull them in. So we're not arching back. We're pulling them into neutral. So it's just the shoulders that are reaching behind us. And then we exhale, come down. Inhale, come up. So we do 2 at the same width. Maybe we'll do one more. One more here just to get it started. All right. So now once we come back to neutral, we're going to extend by about one of our own hand widths. So we have a little bit more space in between. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, come down. One more at that length. Inhale, come up. Exhale, come down. All right. Then again, another hand width wider. So you might have to come up and down a couple of times. You might have to keep widening your hands, but eventually, somewhere, even if your hands are all the way apart, I'm not going to go there. So if your hands reach all the way down whatever you're holding, the strap might end up touching your forehead before we get to that point, but you'll see you begin to allow your arms to drop behind you. So here I can feel they're coming together a little bit closer here. So again, another hand width for me. So my hands are getting pretty wide, so I might end up hitting myself. We'll see. But eventually, they're wide enough they can come all the way back and around. So nice smooth motions whenever you get to this point, coming all the way around behind us, all the way around in front of us, and not allowing one shoulder to come forwards before the other. They're going back at the same rate and they're coming forward at the same rate. So we're feeling our shoulders squeezing together behind us. One more. Really feeling the rotation. Excellent. So know that that exercise is always available to you. I really like it. I think it's super functional for when you get tight shoulders to open up across the chest. I think that's all we're going to need. Well, I take that back. I threw my strap away. We will probably need it later, so keep it close to you. I'll get mine later. So we're going to come onto our hands and knees. Do 2 cat extended cats before we work our way up to standing. So feel how your shoulders are settling on your back, how much space you might already have just from that simple rotation. And then once you're finished, press into the hands, tuck under the toes, lift your knees. We're going to come up to downward facing dog. So find lots of space in between your fingers. Try to press the entire surface, all the knuckles of the palms down. And then from here, we'll slowly walk the feet up in between the hands. Inhale, half lifting. Exhale, forward folding, tucking the chin. And then from here, bending the knees, inhaling and coming all the way up. Hands above the head, and then press together at heart center. So we're going to do 2A series here. Big inhale, exhale, release. Inhale, hands come up overhead. Be mindful we're keeping the low ribs in, shoulders dropping down the back. Exhale, come all the way down into our forward fold. Bend the knees as much as you need to in order to maintain contact between the thighs and the chest. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, hands down, step back. Move through vinyasa. So take your time. Keep your elbows in. Feel the rotation through your shoulders as we transition through whatever your vinyasa looks like. It doesn't have to look like mine. You don't have to do the traditional vinyasa. You can stay in downward facing dog the whole time. It's up to you. And at the bottom of the exhale, stepping the feet up in between the hands. Inhale, half lifting, long spine, pubic bone reaching straight towards the back of your mat. Exhale, forward fold, tuck the chin. Inhale, bend the knees, come all the way up. Hands above the head, press together. And then come to heart center. One more time, big inhale here. Exhale, release. Inhale, hands come up. Exhale, we come all the way down. Inhale, half lifting. Exhaling, hands down, stepping back, moving through your vinyasa, whatever that happens to look like. If you need to drop your knees, feel free to drop your knees. Taking your time. One more big inhale and exhale here. And then stepping up in between hands. Inhale, half lifting. Exhale, forward folding. Tucking the chin. And then bending the knees. Inhaling, coming all the way up. And exhaling. So much needed heat. So now we're going to switch to B series. So big inhale here. Exhale, bend your knees. Bend your hips. Drop your tailbone. Pick up your pubic bone. So you're feeling a hollowing out here at the low belly. Fingertips brush your mat, then they press together and lift just the heart up. Then exhale, come forwards into your own lap. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, hands down, step back. Move through your vinyasa, whatever that happens to look like. Moving with your breath. Taking your time. All right, so from our downward facing dog, we're going to turn the left toes out just a little bit, bring the right foot forward, behind the right hand, draw the right knee forwards, draw the right hip back, and as we come up, hips should be parallel to the short edge of the mat. If they're not, back foot steps forward and to the outside just a little bit. And then hands press together. Inhale, lift up through the chest, feel your shoulders dropping down and away. In fact, let's actually take the hands and press the pinky side of our palms together, keeping the hands flat, and then lift up through the elbows. And then exhale, come all the way down. Step back, move through your vinyasa, taking your time. And then other side. So this time, right toes turn out, left foot comes up behind the left hand. Left knee draws forward, left hip draws back. Inhale, come up. Woo! Goodness gracious. So Hips should be parallel to the short edge of the mat, and they should be fairly neutral, okay? So we're not feeling the pelvis tipping forwards. It's coming all the way down here. Then, instead of pressing the hands together, we're going to take the outside edge of the palms, turn them face up, bring the elbows together, and then lift up through the heart. Feel a rotation through your shoulder blades and how this turns on your pectoral girdle. And then exhale, come all the way down. Step back, move through your vinyasa. Taking your time. And at the bottom of your exhale, stepping up in between the hands. Inhaling, half lifting. Exhaling, forward folding. And then from here, bending the knees, bending the hips, brushing your fingertips off your mat, lift up through your heart. And then exhale, Samasthiti. So be serious again. This time, we're going to throw in another variation. So, big inhale here. Exhale, fingertips come down, coming into fierce pose once again. And then this time, before we lift up, we're going to take right leg, tuck it over the left. Right arm, tuck it under the left. And then lift up for eagle. Okay, so a little bit different balance challenge for us here. And then unwind the arms, place your foot back down, and come all the way down for forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, hands down, step back. Move through your vinyasa. Taking your time. So this time, right toes turn out first. Left foot comes up behind the left hand. Draw the left knee forwards, left hip back. Inhale, press the hands together. Coming up for warrior one. Big stretch through the front line of the body. Then come all the way down. Step back. Move through your vinyasa. Taking your time. This time, other side, left toes turn out, right foot comes up behind the right hand. Right knee forward, right hip back. Press the hands together, lifting up. And then exhale, coming all the way back down. Stepping back, moving through our vinyasa. Take a breath here all the way in, all the way out. Then we're stepping up in between the hands again. Inhale, half lifting. Exhale, forward folding. And then from here, bending the knees deeply. Inhaling, coming up about halfway. This time taking the left foot, left knee, stacking it over the right. Woo! Seeing if you can maybe wrap. This time left arm under the right. Oh, I have no balance on this side. So notice what you notice about your pose. How is your mind moving here? And then when you're ready, open the arms, unwind your pretzel legs, and inhale, come up for neutral Samasthiti. Excellent, excellent, excellent. So we're going to pick up the right foot, step it back. Whichever foot you want is fine. We're going to do both sides. So front leg, toes pointing towards the short edge of the mat. Back leg, toes pointing towards the long edge. I have about heel to heel alignment here. We're going to work for triangle. So hands to hips. And I think we'll even transition. So make sure you have a block handy as well, because we're going to do a couple of poses in a row, I think. So first up is triangle. So front hip reaches straight back, all the way towards the back of your mat. And when the hips stop moving, the chest stops moving, okay? The chest is not trying to get to the floor. Chest is trying to grow as long as possible. Then, bottom hand just relaxes down. Top shoulder rotates open. Low ribs come together, so we feel the front line coming together. And then we're going to take the top hand, bring it behind us. Maybe our pinky tucks into our hip here. So we have a little bit of a wrap going on. And then gaze can be down at your foot, up towards the ceiling, or neutral, straight ahead. And feel the weight of your hand behind you, dropping your shoulder and pulling it open. And then when you're ready, you can look down, inhale, come up, and we'll do the other side. So I'm just pivoting my feet. I have heel to heel alignment once again. So from here, hands to hips, front hip reaches straight back. Nice and easy. I'm just going to do a bunch of poses, but you just can't get rid of the Ashtangi in me. Ashtangis do the same pose, right, left, same pose, right, left, versus stringing several on the side together. Now you know. So when the hips stop moving, bottom hand just drops down towards the floor. Top shoulder rotates open. Low ribs come together. Top hand with the back of the hand against the back of the body comes behind us. Maybe the pinky side of the hand tucks into the hip flexor here. And then rotate the shoulders open, feeling the weight of the body. Now, if this is uncomfortable for you, if it's a lot of work, be more neutral. Come up a little bit higher. Find something that works for you. You don't always have to do these crazy binds, but sometimes they're fun to try. All right, so when we're ready, we'll inhale and come up. We're going to pivot the feet again. And so this time, we're going to step the back foot forwards and to the outside just a little bit. And we're going to have our block here to catch us if we need it. So we are going to come into pyramid pose, but we're going to do it with a bind. So you can always do pyramid and neutral with the hands on the hips or hands down on your block. So that's why we have it there. Or you can investigate a bind today. So steps up for a bind include just bringing the backs of the knuckles together here, or you can grasp the outside edges of your elbows or any part of your forearms, so maybe holding onto the wrists. Then maybe you can catch your elbows. If you have even more space, you might be able to come into a reverse prayer. So the backs of the hands, or the fronts of the hands, the palms, press together behind the chest. So you can see it's about at the same level where it would be here. We want the upper arm bones to draw in and together here. So their shoulders dropping down, arm bones coming in, just like how they do here. We're just rotating around this joint here. And then the humerus rotates just a little bit through the rotator cuff. So if you have sensitive rotator cuffs, be mindful this is an action where we're bringing the arms behind us. Sometimes it can put a little strain across the front of the rotator cuff series of muscles. So be mindful, choose something that is safe for you. So once you pick out your bind, if you're going to use one, we're going to come into our pose. So leave your arms wherever they are. Draw the front hip straight back. Draw your chest forwards. Keep the front knee soft, and you can come into a soft forward fold. We only want to go about halfway here. So we're easing into our pose. If you can look down at your hips along the front line of your body and see if they're lined up. And then once we've spent a couple breaths here, if you feel like maybe you have a little bit more space, you can allow the chest to continue to drop towards the floor. Remember, you can come out of this pose at any time. If you want to release the bind and just put your hands on the floor to support the torso, you can do that too. One more big inhale and exhale here. And then when you're ready, We're going to inhale, come all the way up, and pivot. So you can keep your bind if you'd like. Same thing here. If you have a block and you want to use it on the other side, move it to the inside edge of your front foot. And then we're going to inhale and come up with the chest. Feel the front hip reaching back. So ideally, both hips parallel to the short edge of our mat. And then exhale, reach forward with the chest. Remember, we're only coming about halfway to start. And then maybe once we have enough space, if we feel like we can progress the pose, maybe we come a little bit further. Taking your time, trying to find neutral. So this is one of those poses where proprioception, knowledge of your body in space, awareness of your body in space is really important. And it's kind of hard. One more big inhale and exhale here. And if we're already down facing the top of our mat, we can release the bind. Bring the hands down, step back, and move through vinyasa. So take your time, move slowly. There was a lot of pressure through the shoulder joint, so notice how it feels through the rotations that we use it for here. Feel the extension of the shoulders opening up. Feels wonderful. And then from here, we're going to step the left foot forward, grab a block, pivot the feet so that we're facing the back of our mat, or whichever. We're going to do one more pose. So we are going to take our block, put on the outside edge of the front foot, and we're going to come into extended side angle. So heel to heel alignment like a warrior two pose, feeling both sets of hips dropping down towards the floor equally. And then coming into warrior two legs. So really feeling the back hip dropping straight down. Open up through the arms. Big inhale here. Big exhale. And then take the top hand, the front hand, bring it all the way down either to your block, or you could bring your elbow onto your knee, whichever is most comfortable for you, whichever helps you get the right alignment for your body. Because we really want to see a long line from ankle to hip to shoulder. So if you need to be up a little bit further so you can get this nice long line, maybe that's where you need to be. I apologize, that's one of my cats crying. So from here, reaching up with the left hand towards the top of your mat, and then rotating the chest open. Taking a couple big breaths here, really feeling this top shoulder sliding down your back. And then when you're ready, inhale and come up. Grab your block if you're using it. I always like to have it available if I need to, or if I feel like I can bring my torso down that far. So again, heel to heel alignment here, feeling both left and right hips dropping down at the same rate. So bending the front knee, coming all the way down. Apologies. This is my spouse. That would be why my cat was crying. So, inhale, open up through the shoulders, nice and wide, parallel to the hips, which are parallel to the long edge of the mat. And then when you're ready, bringing the front hand down. So either it comes all the way down onto your block, if you can get this really nice long line here. If it ends up getting kind of broken, come up a little bit higher. So we really want this nice long line. Pressing the front knee out behind you. Inhale, reach the top arm up. Exhale, rotate it open. Big inhales. Big exhales, long line of energy, sinking the top shoulder down and away from us. And then when you're ready, windmilling the arms down, moving through vinyasa. Stepping back. Taking your time. And then when you're ready, we're going to come all the way down onto our knees and come into child's pose for a couple breaths here. So bring the hands back by the feet, palm face up, interlace your index finger with your pinky toe if they reach. And feel your shoulder blades sliding apart across the back here. Big inhales, big exhales. One more big inhale and exhale here. And then from here, we'll bring the hands up. Inhale, coming up just to seated. So, work with a little bit more shoulder openers here. We're going to come into Gomukhasana, which is going to involve our strap. So, I grabbed mine and I threw over here. We're going to extend our left leg, take the right leg, and bring it up and over. Now, for some of us, sitting up nice and tall and bringing the outside edge of our right foot down onto our mat here, stacking one knee right on top of the other, it's going to be way more than enough. So if this is super uncomfortable for you, what you can do is instead take the ankle and put it just above the knee like we're in figure 4. If that's accessible to you and this doesn't feel like this is too hard, we can bend the bottom knee, you lift off to the side, and tuck that up and next to us as well. So in traditional cow face, we have both the knees stacked on top of each other. Just be aware that sometimes this can cause a lot of pressure through the hips, can cause a lot of pressure through the knees. So for me today, I'm going to take it a little bit easy. I'm just going to do half cow face. So from here, with my right leg on top, I'm going to take my left hand and take the strap in it. I'm going to hold it so that I have a length of the strap. My palm is facing towards the back of my neck, like I could grab the back of my neck. Take the opposite hand, bring thumb face down, hand, back of the hand to the back of the body, then a thumb turns face up, and I'm going to reach towards bringing the hands together here. So you might have hands way over here, you might have them a little bit closer, you might even be able to get the fingers or maybe even your wrists. So just find something that's comfortable. If this backwards rotation is uncomfortable for your rotator cuff here, with the upper arm, just take your hand across the elbow and draw it in. So here we are, in our cow face. Whatever variation works for you, however close or far apart you need the pose to be. Sitting up nice and tall. So this is the key to all these seated poses, right? Is dropping the pelvis, the pubic bone straight down towards your mat. Lifting through the chest, but pulling the low ribs in. One more big inhale and exhale here. No, it's a lot of sensation. And then we'll release. Roll through the shoulders, unwind your pretzel. Do the other side. So this time, left leg is coming across. If it's comfortable for you, you can also bring the right leg up next to you, just be mindful, we're not sitting on the heels, okay? They are just coming up close to the hips. For me, this is still too intense. I want to be even because I didn't bend the low leg in on the opposite side, so I'm still just drawing it in, sitting up nice and tall. So this is my posture here. Remember, you can also do figure 4 with the ankle on the knee, so it's a little bit more open. And you can use a block to support the knee here. So because I've got my left leg on top, we're going to take the strap in my right hand. I'm going to turn my hand so that it faces the back of my neck, okay? Holding the strap across my palm. And then opposite hand, back of the hand to the back of the body, thumb is going up the back, and we're creeping the arms together. And now notice if you have a big difference between sides, both in your hips and in your shoulders. So with the shoulders, there's lots of things going on. It could be the rotator cuff, so the front side of the lower arm. It could be your triceps, which is the underside of the upper arm. Either of those muscle groups, if they get tight, it's hard to get into this pose. So just sit up as tall as you can and lift the chest, feel the low ribs coming in. Try to draw your upper arm behind you, but don't allow your head to drop forward. So we're keeping the head nice and neutral. Maybe you can creep your hands together a little bit closer. When you're ready, we'll release the stretch. Roll through your shoulders, nice and gentle. And from here, we're gonna wind the legs up underneath us, and we'll come onto hands and knees and move through vinyasa. Nice and slow. Notice how your shoulders are moving. And then we'll come all the way back down to seated, and in the spirit of opening the shoulders, we'll do a little bit more with the hips, and we'll come into Agni Stambhasana. So Gomukhasana kind of opened us up a little bit for this. In Agni Stambhasana, or fire log pose, we're going to take one of our legs, make sure that it is parallel, the shin is parallel to the short edge of the mat, and that our pubic bone is lining up approximately halfway across the shin here. Other leg is going to cross over so that now we're stacking our ankle on top of our knee. Just be mindful that you want your ankle to be a little bit further past the knee, so the foot's a little bit free floating, so you can flex the foot and maintain a straight alignment through your ankle here. What we don't want is to put the foot on the knee and then see how we get this sideways bend through the ankle here. This is going to overstretch the outside edge of your ankle joint. So we want the ankle a little bit further so you can flex the foot, keep a nice neutral orientation here. Sitting up nice and tall. So if this is too much for you, same thing. Leave the bottom leg extended and just do your figure 4 again. So you can take your block. If your top knee has a lot of space between it and your bottom foot, in an ideal world, top leg is totally flat. So we're sitting up nice and tall, and for some of us, this might mean that we are just sitting up as much as we can. For others, if we have enough space, we're slowly going to come forwards into a forward fold. Taking your time, and stop where you need to stop. This is one of those poses that gets really intense really quickly. So just try to find that flirtatious edge between too much and not enough. Taking deep breaths here. I know this pose is a lot. A lot. So take your time. When we're ready, we'll inhale and come up. Unwind our pretzel. We'll put both soles of the feet down on the floor and just windshield wiper the legs back and forth. We'll do the other side. So this time, right shin bone or opposite shin bone, whatever it happens to be, is parallel to the long edge of the mat. And we're going to stack the opposite leg on top. Pubic bone is coming to about the middle of both of our shins, right? So we want to be right in the middle. And then we still have quite a bit of space. We're putting whatever we need to in order to fill this gap, and adjust your props up if you need to. Again, if it's super uncomfortable, you cannot keep both of your hips down on your mat. Extend the bottom leg out so that you're only in a figure 4. Okay? Making sure that you can flex your ankle so the ankle is far enough onto your knee that the outside edge of your foot drops down. It has some space to flex, and you can keep your ankle joint neutral. All right, so sitting up nice and tall as much as you can. Try not to clench your jaw. This is one of those poses that I say we like to chew on. And if the sensation starts to ebb, you're starting to feel comfortable, you can lean in for a forward fold. And some people can come all the way down. For me, on this side, I might actually have to stay up nice and high. Just drama city in this house. My husband putting away groceries. My cat needs to be let in. So we're going to sit here for a couple of moments, and then I will open my studio door so that Scooter can come in and hang out with us. Taking a few breaths. You stay here. I'm going to let Scooter in. So stay in your pose. Breathing. Okay. One more big inhale and exhale here. And then we'll unwind our pretzel, put the soles of your feet down on the floor, windshield wiper the knees back and forth. Someone thinks he needs to go outside again, just for fun. And then we'll tuck our feet underneath us and come through for one more vinyasa. Taking your time. Scooter scratching on a scratching post. You know, I was really tempting fate recording this class today, huh? Just lots of extra noise today. So we will now transition all the way onto our backs. Coming in through bridge pose. So bring the knees in close, the feet in close, so you can feel the backs of your feet with your hands. If you want, you can even take a block on the medium height, so about 6 inches, and put it in between the knees, just under the actual knee joint. So you want it actually maybe 2 to 3 inches down from the top of the knee joint, so it's really in between the thighs. So from here, toes might be slightly turned in. And 2 options here. One is to articulate the spine, rolling one vertebra at a time, peeling the spine up. This is going to give you a lot of stretch through the back. But if you'd like to build muscle, which is what I'm going to do today, we're going to keep the back neutral. So notice how your back feels right now. You might have some lightness in the low back. Try to find neutral with your pelvis so you can articulate it forwards and back, playing with some tilts until you find neutral. Right in the middle. So then from here, we're going to take the whole spine and lift it up in one big piece, hinging at the shoulder joint. So again, we're drawing attention to our shoulders in this pose. So when you're ready, using the legs and the glutes, lifting the whole spine up in one piece. Taking a big inhale and a big exhale here. Notice how you're starting to get some opening across the top of the chest. And then when you're ready, slowly bring the entire spine down so it lays flat on the floor all at once. And then when you're ready, inhale, coming all the way up. Taking a breath here all the way in, all the way out, all the way in, and then relaxing all the way down. One more time. On an inhale, coming all the way up. Lifting with your glutes, keeping the spine neutral. And then when you're ready on an exhale, coming all the way down. Wonderful. We'll take the block out, draw the knees in, giving them a squeeze. This time holding onto the right knee, extending down through the left, spending a moment here, feeling an opening across the left hip flexor. Then taking the left hand on the right knee, drawing it across the midline, coming into a small spinal twist. If you have a block handy or some other prop that you want to bring your knee onto, it's one of my favorite things to do lately. So find something to make the pose comfortable for you, because we want to be able to keep both of our shoulders down on our mat. If you're looking for a nice self-adjustment, you can take the same hand as the top leg, tuck the thumb into your hip crease here, and then pull the whole top muscle down and towards your bottom foot. So we're opening up through the hip a little bit. But not at the expense of lifting the shoulder off the floor. And when you're ready, we'll inhale and come up. Bring both legs in, give them a squeeze, and we're going to do the other side. So this time holding on to the left leg, extending down through the right. Taking the right hand on the left knee, bringing it over, crossing the midline, keeping both shoulders down on your mat. If you'd like, you can take the thumb of the top leg, tucking the thumb into the hip crease, and then rotating the top muscle open and away. But again, not at the expense of tightening up the shoulder joint. So if you can keep both shoulders on the floor nice and loose while you do that, that's fine. We just want to create any tension in the body that doesn't need to exist. Take another breath here all the way in. All the way out. And then when you're ready, we'll come back to neutral on our backs. If you like, you can roll up, do another vinyasa. And then it is time for Shavasana. So if you want, you can take Shavasana in something like fish pose, which is another heart opener, giving you a little bit more action through the shoulder girdle. Or coming into something like legs up the wall, bound angle pose, or just sitting in a chair. For me, I'm going to take traditional Shavasana. I think I'm going to put a little bit of a lift under my knees, but I'm definitely going to cover up because I'm starting to cool off. So, bring in a lift under my knees. Just settle in for Shavasana. Making sure that you're covered up as much as you can be. And relaxing into whatever pose you choose. So take a couple breaths here, breathing all the way in, all the way to the bottom. Exhaling all the way out, all the way to the top. Bring your attention back to where your body is in contact with either the floor or your props underneath you. Notice these areas, the sensation of the support provided to you. Notice how your shoulders are feeling. The orientation of the upper arm into the shoulder joint. Where they're in contact with the floor and where they're free floating. And if there's any extra tension still lingering there, see if you can release it on an exhale. Notice how your mind is moving. What kinds of thoughts are coming up? What kinds of emotions? And as soon as they come up, as soon as you realize that they're happening, just acknowledge what they are for what they are. And then let them fade away. And know that you are always welcome to stay here as long as you wish. But if you'd like to end with me, you can start to find small movements in fingers and toes, wrists or ankle circles, roll the head, stretch the arms, whatever helps you feel at home in your body. And then when you feel ready, you can slowly roll off to one side, taking your time. Taking a moment here, feeling the breath expand through 3 sides of the body. And feel the support of your mat on the 4th. And when you feel ready, slowly working your way up to seated. So thank you very much for practicing with me today. Thank you for sticking with me through all of the small disruptions in my home life, but I know that you are forgiving, and more often than not, maybe the same things are happening in your home too. So as always, thank you very much for practicing with me today. Take care. Namaste.